Namo tassa bhagavatu arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavatu arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavatu arahato samma sambuddhassa. Good evening, everyone, and good morning, everyone. So today we will be kicking off a new Dhamma Talk series, as we announced you a couple days ago. This Dhamma Talk series is titled as Mental Health Awareness series, wherein which we try to apply the Buddhist perspective into the mental health matters. So we are not going to talk about mental health primarily from a psychological, psychoanalytical, psychopathological, psychotherapeutical perspective. We are adding more flavor into Buddhism, actually. What can we understand about from Buddhism into different mental health issues? So this is the first day, and I'm happy to welcome all of you. So mental health matters to all of us. But the problem is a lot of people do not seem prepared to talk about the mental health. Probably they think that this is kind of something that they should ignore in their life. But in Buddhism, the Buddha clearly mentioned that the perfect health is the absence of both physical and mental illnesses. So mental health plays a bigger role in Buddhist philosophical ideas, Buddhist teachings as a whole. So I have chosen to kick off the series, to talk about addiction, unspinning addiction. So what is spinning and unspinning in this context? That is kind of another matter of debate. Spinning means twisting. Unspinning means we try to untwist something that has spun over time. So what has been untwisted, what has been spun for us to untwist is that we have been not dealing with mental health issues over time. Okay, so before we jump into the topic called addiction, we have to look at what is addiction and what is the nature of addiction, how do we know that we are addicted, and what are the Buddhist suggestions, Buddhist steps that we can follow to get rid of addiction. And then whether there are any benefits, positive sides also of addiction. We have to look at all these ways, not just say that addiction is bad, right? Because people can be addicted to different things, even good things. Okay, so now what is an addiction? Now we know it is an overactive desire sense that has gone way beyond normal limits and which is harmful to self. So that means we have habituated, I would say, we have some habits we have formed over time that pose a risk to destroy ourselves, especially the management of ourselves. So one of the interesting things here is that we are forming habits every day, probably over time, that is to be more correct. So when we don't know that we are forming habits or we have been forming habits, what if the habits seem to be unwholesome? For the most part, they tend to be unwholesome. So then there is a question. Now, in modern world, addiction is something that people are addicted to different behavioral patterns as well as drugs. these, including these drugs like different uh, substance use of substance, and even the use of alcohol. So we have some words called alcoholism, right? So this what do you call, there are different words about people who are too much into that, right? Workaholic, so holic, alcoholic, those who are too much into alcohol. And we have a word called uh, workaholic, those who are working too much. And what about chocoholic, those people who eat too much chocolate? And I was thinking whether we can use a word called dharmaholic, those people who are too much into dharmic activities. So in that way, we can see that holic is kind of a word that is too much into the particular activity, the particular thing. So here we have the word called alcoholic when it comes to the addiction of some of the drinks, especially the bad drinks, and some of the drugs, right? So another thing that we have to keep in mind is that we all are not exempted from addictions. Okay, so we may be addicted differently. The thing is that addictions cannot be visible depending on different people. So we may be, I mean, most of the people in society, they are addicted to something, be it only money. So money is one of the popular things that people are addicted to. Shopping, people, there are a lot of people who always like going shopping at a time that they don't need to buy. They have enough stuff, but they still want to do their shopping, excessive shopping. And success, so money, shopping, success, promotion. Nobody wants to be demoted, they want to be promoted, they want to compete uh, within the company, right? The group of people. Food or sex, right? So money, shopping, success, promotion, food, and sex, these are the very fundamental types of addictions that most of the people have in society. Now, regardless of monastics and lay people, I see that money, I mean, I know lay people, they really want money because they can't live without a good job and without a certain amount of money. Probably some of the monastics need money to build up their temples, right? They ask you donations, right? I mean, not in the way that the lay people ask, but they still need money. I mean, in the contemporary way, I'm not saying that they should, but we can see that they are also engaged in different ways of looking at money. Let's leave out shopping. What about the success? Yes, I mean, success as a monk, monastic. I mean, success as a lay person. Promotions, food, right? So, and in particular, sex. I mean, this is one of the very much so thing among the lay people. So what has happened to these people who have been addicted is that they have solidly looked into a love of pleasure and are reaping the consequences of that particular lifestyle, right? And doing so, they expect that they can earn a sense of identity, because they only think that they can earn the identity uh, to the extent that they are uh, getting successful in acquiring, in having, in attaining, in achieving these things that they are attached to, they are addicted to: money, shopping, success, promotion, food, or sex. So over time, another thing that we can notice is that they have become dependent upon their addiction because of the inability to actually manage with what they have addicted to. It's kind of a big issue. Now, I can't say that these are the only things people are actually dependent on or addicted to. So it's not, even money, shopping, success, promotion, food, or sex. What about other things? I would say glory, right? What are the other things that people are very much seeking for. Um, there are many things, right? Either good or bad, right? So, I mean, none of these things are bad, right? I mean, money is not bad, you know. The Buddha says that the foolish person, that's a very interesting saying, foolish person destroy destroys oneself by trying to find money in wrong ways. But pretty much he or she, I mean, the foolish person messes up. But the wise individual does not. That means money is something which is a tool. I mean, it is not bad. I mean, you have to know how to handle it, right? It's not the money the problem. It's not a knife which is the problem. It's the way how you're gonna use it. It is for what you're gonna use it for. It's not the money. It's not the tool. A lot of people talk about, okay, I'm actually very addicted to social media. I'm telling those folks, I mean, social media or internet is a double-edged sword, knife. Just imagine a double-edged sword or knife. So you gotta use it as a tool. I mean, you can't blame Facebook. You can't blame social media. I mean, blame yourself for your inability to manage social media. I mean, why don't you spend a fair amount of time and then you get rid of that mentality? It's not the tool, it's you who cannot manage yourself, right? Even when we look at these things, money is not a problem. Money is something that everybody is seeking for. Shopping, yeah, why not? It's not a problem unless you shop, for the things that you really need. Success, we all need to be successful in a better way. Promotions, food, and for lay people, sex. I mean, if you are with a partner, if you are married, I mean, why not? The problem is if you are too much into these things, that is the problem. That is where we have to actually be concerned of. So with that in mind, let's continue how the addiction can really keep us down. So self-identity is something that everybody is looking for, wherein thereby people getting addicted to different things. Okay. For example, I would say, okay, I'm an educated guy, and I need a good job, a job that is really fair, that is really appropriate to myself for my studies. I can do other, uh, simple jobs. Let's say I am somebody who is widely accepted, reputed because of different reasons. So uh, I can't be demoted. Probably I'm promoted, but I want more promotions, right? So there might be somebody who might say that I already had my lunch or dinner, but I still need food. I mean, these are the issues. So you're trying to maintain your self identity. So you kind of rationalize of what you are uh, what you are liking, right? Your stuff, likes. So you don't need to rationalize. Just eat. Just earn money. I mean, you don't need to be too much into that. Be too much into shopping. You don't need to be too much into success. You don't need to be too much into promotions. You don't need to be too much into food and sex. I mean, you got to balance them out. That is something really interesting, because if you think that the more you do those things, the better you are with your self identity, that is really unwholesome, right? That is really an unwholesome thing. So that is a basic thing that you need to understand about addictions. At the same time, there are people who have identified so strongly or solidly with the source of their pleasure. I mean, these pleasures, money, shopping, success, promotion, food, or sex. They have identified very solidly with these sources of pleasure. And they believe that life without the sort of amount of those kind of addictions uh, might not be even thinkable. It is unthinkable. They can't even think about a life without being addicted that much, right? So if you think that the source of your pleasure is an addiction, that is really taking you to a very wrong end, and your life will go haywire over time. Okay, so now still we are talking about what is addiction. Addiction is really a bad thing, and there are different sources of pleasures where you can be addicted. Probably you may have been already addicted. Now you want to see that how we're going to look at this addiction from the Buddhist perspective. Now, the adult perception of the world, most of the adults, some are dull and predictable. So to have a kind of a meaning to life, life must contain a little bit of love, right? So you need to give some love towards yourself. A lot of people, they think that the more they are pursuing what they are really addicted to, the better they become, the happier they become. But giving a little love towards yourself is not the addiction. I mean, you know that you need a little amount of love, at least a little amount of love, because it is where you're getting really out of control with your pleasures, especially the source of pleasures. So if you are not giving a little love towards yourself, I would say metta in real Pali aspect, then what will happen? Or self-compassion. What will happen to you is that you are trying to seek sources of external pleasures by looking for, high amount of, I would say, too much, sources for your addiction. So if you really take care of you, if you give really enough adequate love towards yourself, I think you are not getting addicted. You are not putting those, that mismanagement into the hands of other people, especially if you really want to think about the money, shopping, success, promotion, food, and sex. For many people, they think that they need to please others. Money, they're gonna please other people. Hey, I want a lot of money. I need more money. Shopping, you might perhaps disturb other people around you. Success, you might probably look at different bad ways of being successful because you want to bypass a lot of good channels, proper channels. Promotions, yes, I mean, there are how many people are doing bad things to be promoted, right? They can't wait because they are too addictive, they are too obsessive about their success. Promotion. And the food, it's the same thing. And sex, it is also the same. I mean, there are people who have different sadistic and really extreme desires about sex, not that the regular kind of thing. So anyways, so these things have to be fixed. But what can we learn from Buddhism in the first place? Now, the Buddhist teachings themselves a fine solution, a fine remedy, treatment to addictions, because the fundamental teachings of Buddhism deal with two aspects wherein which people turn into addictions. So what are the basic two layers where people do not handle that much and then they turn into addictions? I will tell you. Desire or attraction. So this is one aspect. We may have desires, so by we will be attracted. And then repulsion, so aversion. So it simply means lobha or raga or dosa. So raga and dosa are the main channels where somebody mismanages so that the person is into addictions. So this is kind of similar to the pleasure pain principle in Western psychology. I mean, the Freudian psychology. Sigmund Freud has clearly mentioned about the pleasure pain principle. So we try to seek more pleasures to avoid pains. Right? This is the same thing. A lot of people, they look for, hey, I want good food, I want good XYZ because I don't like the opposite. Right? I probably think, I mean, you probably think that such a person who is really looking at different pleasures, that the same person also looking at how to avoid pain, right? So they're going to actually make more money because they are thinking my future, my 10 years of time from now will be very uncertain. So I need to be more happy, So it's kind of a thing that people doing all the time because they don't like pain. So because they want to avoid pain, they are looking at They are pursuing a lot of pleasures. So it's kind of a similarity that we can see between pleasure pain principle with raga dosa. I would say attraction, desire or attraction, and repulsion or aversion. Now we all are fundamentally driven by raga and dosa. Who is not, right? Everybody of us, we are driven by raga and dosa, unless you are an enlightened being. Now the problem is we are driven by raga and dosa differently. Now the level that I am driven by raga and dosa could be different from yours. If you don't have a self-control, if you don't have a moderation, if you don't have self-restraint, and you might be terribly driven by raga and dosa. But if you know that raga and dosa are really, distraction, temptations, so that I have to look at them in a really moderate, in a managerial way, and then you will not be that much driven by raga dosa. Probably you will give yourself to non-greed and non-hatred. So you have then the more, I would say, generosity, and then the other side of the aversion is metta, loving kindness. But sadly, we are driven by raga and dosa. Now, Buddhism fundamentally or primarily answers questions like how man actually is, the conditions he or she is in, and the ideas that the humankind are largely observing throughout the time. So these are clearly connected to addictions. I mean, we know when we look at the evolution of this universe, there is a particular sutta called Aggan in the Digha Nikaya. In that sutta, it is clearly saying that those folks who came from the Abhassara Brahma world, those radiant beings, they didn't have the manifestation of sex. They were not, the Brahmas have no sexual presentation, I would say. They are neither a man nor woman. And then when they came here after the, during the process of the evolution, and then they look at each other, and then they found out they have some interest about different folks. And then the man, the Brahmin man, the Brahma man liked the female Brahma, right? So the sexual presentation came up. So that means addiction is a fundamental, is a very grassroots type of thing in Buddhism. So then addiction is not new to Buddhism. In short, I can say addiction is what the Buddhism is giving the answer for. So Buddhism as a whole giving the best answer to addiction, because addiction is what happens after craving. Upadana is also another similar meaning. So Buddhism clearly answers about the humankind, the certain conditions that the humankind have been dealing with over time, samsara and in a particular life. And also Buddhism prepares folks, I will say humans, even every being, to observe what's happening within you. Even when Rohitasa, the deity Rohitasa, asked a question from the Buddha, Bhante, I want to go to the end of the universe. And the Buddha said, the real universe, the real world is not this external world. He said, the real world lies within this one fathom body, which has connection to perception. So that means this is the addictive world. Addictive world is not outside. Now we think it is sex, it is money, it is shopping, it is so on and so forth. We always look at outside things, right? External stuff. But real addiction is within you. If you take care of yourself, there are no addictions. No, you don't need to take any drugs too, right? I mean, I know medically people have to take drugs given by the doctors, I mean, to slow down some of the conditions. But in Buddhism, it is dealing with the very cognitive aspect of addiction, because All these addictions happen from external from in the mismanagement or in bad handling of the objects. If you handle the objects really well, that are really prone to your susceptible to your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind, you won't have any addictions. You know what to do. Okay, so raga, those I would say desire and aversion or repulsion, these are the two things that bother us if we don't manage them well, so that we are into addictions. So what is happening over time when somebody is not managing properly, not managing these two properly, is that there arises a very bad selfishness, right? Because you think that these sources of pleasures should happen to you, should help you to progress as a good person. And the Buddha says the real happiness, now this is something I wanted to add, the real happiness is not that you are selfishly looking for. The real happiness is arising whenever you are giving your love, I would say, having your self-compassion, whenever you are giving something out to other people. Now just imagine, whenever you are offering something, dana, to the venerable monks, or maybe you are giving a donation, maybe you are giving a gift to someone, how happy are you? Just imagine the moment that when you are given a gift from somebody and you are happy, but whenever you are giving that to maybe something else appropriate to somebody else, you are really happy. You can happily remember that particular thing. That is why Buddha says the real happiness is that whatever the things you are, real happiness is not whatever the things you are doing to yourself. You think that you want to be educated, you want to be happy, you want to be successful, you want to have good sex, you want to go a lot of shopping, you want to buy this car, that car, those fancy stuff, you want to have fantasy. You might be happy to a certain extent, but the real happiness is that you are giving things to other people. Then look at you. How happy are you? That's a great. I'm not saying that you should not look for these needs. Actually, you need money, you need shopping, you need success, you need education, you need a good job, you need a good promotion, you need sex and all that. They are fundamental stuff. But while you are balancing out, while you are having a moderation in all these activities, try to navigate your happiness. Just tell yourself, my happiness does not primarily uh, you know uh, lies with what I'm achieving all the time. It is part of it, but most of my happiness always arise whenever I'm giving back, whenever I'm giving things to other people. Actually, that is a real happiness. So then, if you are a person who is thinking that way, you will get rid of a lot of addictions. All addictions happen whenever you are thinking, I want to be selfishly looking for all these sources of pleasure that you see. So try to give. You won't be able to give right away, but you can still give. You can still make somebody happy. I mean, at least by using kind words, at least by being, I would say, not being judgmental about other people, at least by giving a help, at least by listening to other people. Huh? These are there are many ways that you can find out to be happy, not just finding yourself selfish sources of your pleasure. Okay, so that's kind of a I would say a background type of sharing, but now I'm gonna get into more stuff about addiction. Folks, if you have any questions, please type in the comments below, and I will get to your questions too. In our understanding, addiction is not grounded in self-compassion and there is no compassion of an addicted person towards the outside world. Because of the same reason, that person has no self improvement, because we all need to improve ourselves, right? I mean, including myself. We always want to talk. We always want to talk better words. We always want to be at least kinder, right? The levels are might not be enough, because we have to improve every day. So we are beings who are always subject to changes. I mean, improvements. And for the most addicted people, their vision is essentially a pessimistic one. If you talk to such an addict, uh, that person might say, the world is pessimistic and there's nothing to take, everything is like this. Somebody can say everything is anicca dukkha anatta too. I mean, even in the Buddhist way. Yeah, everything is anicca dukkha anatta. But in that anicca dukkha anatta world, there is happiness, right? So we can't forget about that. Buddha never said karma, pleasures have no happiness. Buddha said pleasures have happiness, but there's a little happiness. There are other things that you can have more happiness. Buddha never rejected pleasures. Buddha never said there is no happiness in food, sex, shopping, money, success. There is happiness, but it is little happiness. Appasada dukkha kama. Appasada. Asada appa. There's a little value, little happiness. So there's happiness, but it's not the full expanded version of happiness compared to uh, giving to other people, sharing with other people. Okay. Now, as I brought up, in Buddhism, addictions are always dealt with the objects of sensation aspect. Now, we get to see a lot of I would say sights, images, sights, and then we get to hear sounds, we get to smell, we get to what I would say taste, we get to touch, we get to think, right? So the kind of objects they are channeling through senses, we call them chakupasada, sota, gana, jiva, kaya, mana, right? In the Abhidhamma perspective. So they are coming to us because we are letting them come mostly, but there are other times that we don't allow, but we just stay like this, but those objects come to us, right? So in Buddhism, both the Sutta teachings and Abhidhamma teachings, it is clearly emphasizing that addictions have to deal with the objects of sensation. Now, sights, sounds, smells, taste, thoughts, they all are objects for sensuality. Okay, they are all objects. So somebody who does not manage these objects that are coming to their sensation, they get haywire, they get really bombarded with the objects, right? But if you are somebody who knows what object that I should let myself grow in, what objects that I should move forward within me, and then you have a better management about these objects of sensation. So you can't stop objects coming towards you, but you can filter them out, right? I mean, this is what we do all the time, right? We have to filter them out. Not just blaming, okay, I'm seeing a bad person, I'm seeing this bad thing, I'm hearing a bad song, I'm hearing something that is unpleasant to me, I'm smelling something really stinky, I'm having a bad food, and I'm having a bad comfort, I'm having a bad mood. We are not we don't supposed to talk like that. We don't supposed to have kind of a perspective like that. We always have to think that I am filtering my objects of sensation. So what we have to do in the first place is that we can now keep us alert about the objects, right? Especially the management of these objects of sensation. So that is a clear thing to do when it comes to addiction. Now, who are the folks with addiction? Now, probably you might be somebody who is addicted to something. I mean, we all are addicted, that's the truth. Differently, I'm not telling that extreme addicted person to drugs and the person who's addicted to Dhamma, Dhamma Kamo. There may be people differently addicted, but I'm telling you, whether you are addicted or not, you must have a good management about your objects of sensation. So that is the first part. Let's say you are addicted, then from today onwards, you have to think about these objects. You need to filter them through. And then if you are somebody who is not yet addicted compared to others, you can be more prepared, just in case. Okay, what are the causes of addiction? So this is something really interesting because there are people who might have different thoughts about the addiction. So I have seen that there are people who have loss of control. They have loss of their control about themselves, and they surrender of the will to a craving. So they surrender of the will to a craving. So they are surrendering to a certain thing that has a lot of craving. So they are pretty much weakened, but they never want to say that they have a craving, but they want to justify, rationalize what they have. The person who is already addicted to something, be that money, food, success, whatever, they seem to gain a new sense of self, independent of their habit. Now, if you take a look at somebody who is very alcoholic, that person might always rationalize, even share with other people, I'm becoming a great person after I am drunk, and I don't see that when I'm sober, right? They are hallucinating, they are disillusionizing. I would say they are trying to, justifying that there is a new self that they can tap into. So they don't want to look at the sort of craving that bound them, to it. So the addicted person can be understood in a way that they proclaim, they themselves declare that they have a new sense of self that is independent of their habit. And they are, sometimes they are always actually defending what they have. Also, we can see that there are people who are addicted to, things like sexuality. They find pleasure by giving pleasure to another person, especially this kind of bad sex. So they think that the more that they are making other people happy in that, unwholesome way, too much, they think they are happy. So it's kind of a sexual addiction, It's not the regular sexuality. So it's kind of an addiction. So on the other hand, we can see that, there is something else involved. There are people who are addicted to, especially sexuality. They are jealously protective of another. Now, primarily not out of the pure compassion. Now, let's say there are couples or, relationships where one person is going to, I would say, jealously overprotective of the other person. But, it seems to be kind of out of pure compassion, but it is not, because of jealousy. They are jealously protective. They are protective out of jealousy, not because of compassion. So because they think that this is my chief source of pleasure. I can't find pleasure from somebody that way. This can sometimes make the other person really uncomfortable. Why you are putting the other person into that kind of a very low level, right? So this is kind of a sexually addicted person. The sexually addicted person is having two aspects. Now, one thing is that this person is pleasing another person to get happiness with that unwholesome way. I'm not saying this is what happens in that activity, but there are people who are too much into that, making that this is their chief source. The other one is they are protecting other people out of jealousy, not out of pure compassion, because they always think that if I lose this particular person, I might not be happy. I might not be uh, able to uh, move on in my life. So it is always a balance that helps these sexually addicted people. So we need a balance, because love is a subject to subject that is common to the both parties, and we should not, and you should not make love uh, something where you looking at it as a continuous payment of your pleasures, right? So you have to be very liberal. You have to listen to the other party. You should not dominate. If you dominate, that means you are uh, gratifying yourself with sexuality, probably with a lot of addictions. Okay, the true love is that you are giving the same power to the other party, not that you are dominating the other party because of your chief source of that sexual pleasure. Actually, if you are really giving the same power, the other person definitely understands. And then definitely there will be a very good physical, mental relationship that may be going. But if you're going to control that much, if you're going to dominate, hey, you are my only source of sexual gratification, this thing too much, that might not be healthy. And that itself shows that you are a sexually addicted person. As I said at the beginning, these addicted people, they justify their craving in many ways, be that food. There are people I have seen, actually, even in some countries, where they say, you know what, because we don't live that longer, we have to eat whatever we want, whatever we like. Buddha never said, because you die, because you die, you have to eat whatever you want, because you have a short time of your life. I mean, this 100 years of average time, you have to eat whatever you want. Buddha said, yeah, we are dying, it doesn't matter. uh, you know you are dying, we everybody supposed to die, subject to die. But that doesn't say that you need to eat whatever you want, right? We have to take care of yourself, you have to take care of your body, right? Self, we have a self convention, right? But ultimately, this self will be dissolving into five aggregates, and then there's nothing, and the consciousness might traverse the changing one. But you can't justify craving in whatever way. Some people justify their craving in the name of Buddhism, in the name of Buddha. Don't do that. Buddha never said you can eat whatever the things. You can mess up yourself because there is anicca dukkha. You can't mess up yourself. You have to take care of it. This is what we learned from many verses in Dhammapada, Attavaka. And oftentimes the addicted, they escape the blame. They hide from their true motivations, past experiences, and the real basis for their behavior. And they also play down the harmfulness to oneself and to others. They really play down, really underscore, and they continue. So now we understand there is this self-identity, confused sense of self-identity is what this addicted person is having. So this is why this person is trying to be more addicted continuously. And this is where we see rape and what you call masochism, office bullying, racism, sexual harassment at work, and child abuse. All these are actually reflections, manifestations of not being able to handle oneself, right? Not being able to understand the proper side of your desire, right? So if you are not managing yourself, then what will happen to you? You will be addicted, then you will be rationalizing what you do. It's really bad. In Buddhism, you can't do that. Manage yourself without getting into addictions. Now we turn into the Buddhist uh, perspectives of more Buddhist perspectives of addiction. Now, in the Rattapala Sutta of Majjhima Nikaya, Buddha clearly says, I think this is actually given by Venerable Rattapala, the world is always lacking, unsatisfied, and slave to craving. Uno loco atitto tanha daso. Uno loco, which means the world is always lacking, unsatisfied, and slave to craving. They are slave to craving, many of the beings, which means slave to craving. Atitto loko, loko atitto tanha daso. Kamesu loke nahi attititti. This is another nice phrasing there, beautiful phrasing. People never find satisfaction in sensual pleasures. They say that they are pleased, but they are secretly looking for more pleasures. There are people say, I'm happy with my, my spouse. I'm happy with my boyfriend, my girlfriend. I'm happy with my house. I'm happy with my job, but secretly they are looking for different things, right? Most of them. That is why the Buddha said, try to be happy in the real sense, honestly, because honesty is very important with pleasures. If you are really not honest about you, then definitely you're going to cheat on, you're going to deceive, you're going to actually swindle on many other people. Let's look at a couple other teachings. Now, in one of the suttas called Dasakama Bhogi Sutta, Anguttara Nikaya 10.91, in this sutta, Buddha clearly identifies 10 types of pleasure seekers to another Pindika. He clearly mentions, I would say, lays emphasis on a couple of words. Agatito, amuchito, anajjapanno, adinava dasavi, nissaranapan. They are very interesting for all of us. Whenever we deal with any pleasure, be that a person, I would say the sight, be that a song or whatever, the vocal stuff, be that a smell, be that a food, be that a touch, comfort, be that a thought. Whatever the things you are dealing with, you must be able to be alert. You must be able to check in whether your pleasures have gone to these levels, these ends. Let's say you have to be agatito. That means you have to use them without being without being tied. You have to be untied to whatever the pleasure you are dealing with. Don't be tight. T-I-E-D, yeah, tight. Amuchito, you have to be uninfatuated. A lot of people, they are infatuated with whatever they have. I'm very infatuated. I'm insane about this person. I can't take my eyes off this person. Right? I really won't. I'm infatuated. Infatuation is really bad. You gotta be uninfatuated. Anajjapanno, unattached. These are really challenging stuff. But if you do, you won't be going wrong. You won't be going on the unwholesome path. Unattached. Be helpful. Love your spouse. Love your girlfriend, boyfriend. Right? But don't be too much attached. Right? And adinava dasavi. Seeing the drawbacks of the pleasures at some point. Your pleasures can last for some time, but at the same time you understand they are fleeting, they are transient. You understand that the sort of pleasures that you are having, eating food, being with your loved person, listening to a song, but at the end they are fleeting, they are transient. And most importantly, nissaranapan, this is another type of wisdom, understanding the escape. Nissaranapan means understanding the escape. That means whenever we deal with the pleasing stuff, I would say 6 types of sensuality, we must understand we have to escape from them. We have to use them by putting the escape of putting us into the understanding of escape. Nissaranapan. A lot of people, when they use, when they are indulging in pleasures, they never think about, hey, I have to escape. I have to go away, even at one point, willfully or unwillfully, willingly or unwilling, right? They think that these people will be with us forever. These wealthy stuff will be with us forever. My promotions will be with me forever. People who say that they're really fond of us, they are fond of us, will be staying with us together forever. They should understand one day they will walk away from us. Probably when they die, at least when they die, at most day when they die. So Nissaranapan. And then I wanted to add three main things to tackle with addiction. One is moderation. Now, moderation is a very, very, I think it's the most important teaching in Buddhism other than anatta. Because even the truth that the Buddha found out, which is what we call by the Noble Eightfold Path, this is Majjhima Patipada. We call it Majjhima Patipada, which means the middle path. We have to be in the middle all the time, right? Middle in the sense of you are not extremely indulging in pleasures, you are not extremely into the self-modification. You are not giving a lot of pain to you. There are people who are giving a lot of pain to you, them. You should not. This life you have to enjoy, but in the proper way, in the middle path, not being too much into the pleasures. So moderation. Whenever you eat, you need to be moderate. Be moderate. Eat in moderation. Whenever you talk, be in moderation. We have a word called mitabhani, somebody who talks in moderation. Mitabhani. Whenever you do anything, be that sports, education, dhamma, meditation, be in the moderation. There are people who are overdoing meditation, and they get stuck. They are frustrated. It's not the type of load. It's not the amount of activity you are doing. It's the quality. It's how you're going to do it with a lot of smartness. Nowadays, we always inform people you have to be smart when you are practicing Dhamma. If you are not smart enough when you're practicing Dhamma, you will never achieve anything. You will never tap into the real Dhamma. You will never bring it to your practical life. Because if you are not bringing Dhamma into practical life, then you are like a cowherd who is watching over other people's cows. This is something the Buddha says in one of the Dhammapada verses. Let me read for you. Dhammapada stanza number 19 and 20. Yamaka Vakka. One who recites many teachings, Buddha teachings, but being negligent, does not act accordingly, like a cowherd counting others' cows, does not attain the benefits of the contemplative life, spiritual path. But one who recites but a few teachings, yet lives according to the Dhamma. So living according to the Dhamma is the most important. It doesn't matter how much you know. Abandoning passion, ill will, and delusion, aware and with mind well freed, not clinging in this life or the next, attains the benefits of the contemplative life. A lot of people, they are attached to this life. If not, then for the future life. Okay, I'm going to give dana, so may I be reborn in a good place. You are attached to next life. So moderation. Be in the moderation. Be in the middle of everything. Don't do too much. Don't do too less. If it is good, don't do too much. Don't do too less. Be in the middle. Number two, I would say step 2. Abstention. Abstention is a very important. This is what we do by Sila, right? Sila has 2 parts. Abstention. We call it Varitta Sila. And then I would say, the practical part, I would say, the activity part, we call it Charitta Sila. So Varitta Char. Okay? So that means we have to abstain from unnecessary things. I would, especially this applies to the self-restraint. Restraining your senses, guarding your senses. Buddha always says, don't control your senses, don't control your eyes, don't control your ears, don't control your nose, don't control your tongue, don't control your body, don't control your mind, but guard your eyes, guard your ears, guard your uh, nose, guard your tongue, guard your body, guard your mind. From what? From the external objects. Because if whenever you control, you cannot control for the whole time. Then once you ease off, once you ease off your controlling, they will come in many other forms, right? It will become double, triple, quadruple, right? You have to guard, you have to protect yourself. So the real word is protect, uh, guarding, guarding your sense, protecting yourself, not controlling. Number two. Number three is self control. Now, I would ask you to read the Dhammapada Attavagga. I would say this is going to be number 12. This has a lot of teachings about how to take care of. A lot of people, when they talk about anatta, they really, I would say, confuse people. They say, don't think about self. Self is really bad. No, self is good. But you should not be very extreme about self. Because if there is no self, I mean, we know conventionally there is a self. That's why Buddha said atta. But we know self is going, self, there is no self in the ultimacy. But there is a self in the convention. Here we go. Let me read one stanza. If one knew oneself to be precious, one would guard oneself with care. This is 157 verse in Dhammapada, the first stanza of Dhammapada. Sorry, 12th chapter. If one knew oneself to be precious, that means, what does it mean? We have to know the preciousness of ourselves. One would guard oneself with care. This is what a lot of people are lacking. A lot of people, they are lacking with not understanding to take care of oneself. They always think about this self is going to die, So yeah, it is true. But before that, before you jump into that higher level, you must take care of yourself. If one knew oneself to be precious, one would guard oneself with care. The sage will watch over herself in any part of the night for meditation, contemplative things. So we have to take care of us before we talk about those higher teachings, anatta concept. Atta is there conventionally. But whenever we take care of atta, so we are preparing us towards anatta. So that is something you have to learn. So self-control. If you really need self-control, you should have a good self-management about you. So moderation with anything, abstention from unnecessary objects that are coming towards your senses, and then a good self-management. In addition to these three steps, I want to tell you, because we put the topic to be what you call unspinning. So unspinning simply means that you are putting into reverse the habit as it was formed. You could do a couple of things. I mean, in addition to these things, you can regain control over your life, because whenever you are addicted, that means you have lost control over your life. And you can re-establish your gentle behaviors. I would say you can take back, re-establish yourself in the real self. At the same time, you can enjoy your ordinary life, because addicted life is different from the ordinary life, because you are not ordinary anymore if you are addicted. So that means you are able to discover, enjoy yourself as you are. When you are addicted, you are not enjoying yourself as you are. When you are not addicted, when you are very normalized, when you are very ordinary, you are watching you are enjoying you as you are. This is really interesting. Okay, so that's it today. So you can unspin, you can untwist your addicted mentality, which has spun over different reasons, for becoming a better person, to enjoy yourself as you are. So this is our topic today. So in this way, follow these Buddhist steps. If you are addicted too much, even you are addicted even to a good thing, you should not be addicted to anything. Addiction is bad. Try to stay in the middle and do everything. You are good. You are very normal, and you are moving towards. You are moving forward your Dhamma path, and then you will be able to become a better person and then to attain Nibbana at some point. Okay, that's it for today. I think there are no more questions here, so I'm gonna wrap this up by transferring merits to departed people and the deities, sharing karmas with deities. May all the good karmas we've been accumulating so far be transferred to all the departed people who passed away in the name of all of us. May they be happy and peaceful. May they attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Idam me nyati nang hutu sukita huntu nyateu. Idam me nyati nang hutu sukita huntu nyateu. Idam me nyati nang hutu sukita huntu nyateu. Um, we have a custom to share all the good karmas with the deities, nagas, brahmas, and all these powerful beings. May all the good karmas we've been accumulating so far be shared by all the brahmas, devas, nagas, and all these non-human beings who protect all of us. May they protect you for good health, quality of your life, and all the good, prosperous things that you skillfully wish to happen. In the days to come. So may you be protected, may you be blessed, and may all the deities and all these powerful beings also attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Ittavata chammihi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Akasattha ca Bhummattha Deva Naga Mahindika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakkang Tuluka Sasana Chirang Rakkang Tudesanang Chirang Rakkang Tumang Paranti. Finally, let's make a great wish. This is the greatest wish that we've been aspiring all the time. May all the good karmas that we've been accumulating so far be helpful for all of us to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana in this very life. And I'm going to bless you with a couple more stanzas. Please receive the blessings as well. Abhivadana silis nichang vadha pachayinu chataru dhamma vadhanti ayuvannu sukhan balang ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevacha ato nibbana sampatti iminati samichatu. Okay, then, folks, I wish that you take care of yourself and continue to be safe. We have a couple more events coming in the next couple of weeks, including a couple interviews as well. Thank you. Have a good night. Have a good day.